Hi everyone. So if you're new to my channel, my name is Shan and this is Dream with Shan. This channel pretty much is official channel for my nonprofit organization, Conceive a Dream Foundation. And what my foundation does is men, children, and youth and other underserved communities conceive, achieve, and pursue their dreams. So whatever their passion is, whether it's education, professional, we want to bring means and avenues to help them achieve those dreams. And I use this channel to show my day-to-day life, things I like to do, my journey through my journey to pursuing my goals and my passions, how I build and grow my nonprofit, some of the things that I hope to do in the future with my nonprofit, and as we try to fulfill our mission and things like that. So please, like, subscribe, and comment, and let me know if there's anything that you like to do, if you like to collaborate or anything like that. So that was a bit of background about the channel, but now a little bit of background about me. I did a video and I'll link it below to tell you more about the organization. But a little bit about myself. I am a non-traditional student. When I say non-traditional, I mean that when I graduated from undergrad, I did not go directly into my graduate degree program. I did a few things in between. I went to Spelman College where I majored in psychology. That was not my first major, which is one of the reasons why I did not go directly into graduate school following completion of my undergrad degree. I started off as a biology major. A lot of things changed. I can do a video on why I went from biology to psychology if you'd like to know that. But when it was time for me to graduate, I had the decision on if I wanted to graduate just a psychology major or if I wanted to graduate with a psychology major and having finished all of my pre-medical prerequisites. That would have added a minimum of 1 year on to my degree program, and because I went to a private school and it was very expensive, I chose to just graduate with my psychology degree, and I enrolled in post-bac classes in order to finish those prerequisites to apply to medical school. Also, let me give you a little background. During my entire 4 years of undergrad, I worked a full-time job. And I did a few work study things as well. So that was another reason why I was not prepared to go directly into medical school following completion of my undergraduate degree, because I had spent a lot of time devoted to working and making sure I could afford school and afford living. I was a parent at that time, have a 10-year-old son. I had him during my sophomore year of college. So it was a lot of factors that played into me not going directly into medical school. And I needed to make sure my grades were where they needed to be. I had not taken the MCAT by the time I graduated, and I needed to finish those prereqs. So I did a post-bac program, or not necessarily a post-bac program, but I enrolled in the classes that I needed to fulfill those pre-med prereqs at Georgia State University, and took those classes. Took me about 1.5 years to complete those. And then after that, I decided that I wanted to get a master's degree because I knew that I wanted to strengthen my application, being that I was a non-traditional student. My GPA wasn't where I wanted it to be as far as competitiveness from undergrad. Even though I had boosted it by going to Georgia State, I still wanted to make sure that I had a solid application. So I did a master's program at Mercer University, School of Medicine in Macon, 4 years, like a special master's program. And that was a very interesting experience at Mercer in Macon. And I can definitely, if anyone has any questions about the program, I can give great insight. I was a part of this inaugural class, so we were the first of that particular master's program. I was the first round of students for that, and there was a lot of kinks, but it was interesting. I'll just say that. And if you have any questions about the program, I can definitely give you some feedback and information on my experience and some of the experience of my classmates. Then I, worked for a few years. I worked in healthcare, worked in non-healthcare fields, and this was all leading up to me actually entering into medical school. So, as you can see, I've done a lot of things in between that point. I will be 30 this summer. So yes, I'll be 30 this summer. And most of my classmates are between the ages of like 22 and 24. That's like the bulk of them. And anyone like older than that is kind of like the outlier or whatnot in the class, because most of them came directly from undergrad, or maybe they did one gap year and then they went to medical school. So my experience is a lot different from many of my classmates. So anything that I say, it's coming from a perspective of a non-traditional medical student with a child that's a single mom. So immediately prior to entering into medical school, I worked a full-time job. I, had money, paid my bills. I had health insurance, dental insurance, all that good stuff, and when you leave all that to go back to school, it's a learning curve that you have to adjust to. It's a big learning curve, and my first year medical school was, very rocky at times because there were some things that I did really well in and some things where I didn't do really well in. And there were times when, I really struggled, like, wow, this gap between, me being in an academic program and going to medical school, I really feel it because these hours of studying and things like that is something that I'm not accustomed to, and it was really hard for me to just process some of the material. And anyone will tell you who's in medical school, they'll let you know that you get so much information at one time. It's like you're like, wow, you're learning a year's worth of, or a year or a semester worth of biochemistry in 3 weeks. And that's pretty much how our first year was. We would get segments of different material that a normal person or a person in an undergrad or maybe a graduate program may learn in a semester. We would learn it over a test block and be expected to kind of regurgitate it out and really understand the foundations of it. And so for me, that was really rocky, but I made it through first year. And I, can say that I actually did other things during first year as well. Like I did research. I did a lot of volunteer work. I did a lot of stuff in and outside of school that helped shape me into a good student. But it was really hard for me, trying to juggle being a parent, trying to juggle being a class, being a good student. I didn't have, and it was hard when you are different from most of your classmates, to be able to, kind of maneuver where you fit in and things like that, just to make sure that you can survive, because in medical school it's really about survival. So it was a learning experience for me, just being in medical school as an older student, as a non-traditional student, as a student with a child, just so many dynamics going into one. I went into my summer and I did more research, because at the end of the day, for me, my priority is making sure that I have money to pay my bills and to feed my child and to make sure he has clothes for school, all the things he needs, because just because I decided to go back to school, I don't want him to suffer, because at the end of the day, I lost my income going back to school. And that's something that, anyone has to consider when they're going back to school and they have a family or a child or someone else that depends on them financially. So that was a big thing that I really had to kind of think about over my summer. So one thing I did, I want to say this, I did apply to scholarships and things like that. But then second year came, and second year is a whole different beast. When I say second year is so much different than first year, at least in my institution, I can't speak about any other schools. But second year is a lot different as far as the material. Like first year was more focused on normal anatomy, things like that, biochemistry, science. And then we go into second year and you learn some abnormal things, and you learn pathology, you learn pharmacology, you learn microbiology, and you do more clinical skills-based type things. And because my first year was a little rocky, I came into second year really like enthusiastic, like, yeah, I'm rejuvenated over the summertime. I'm ready to go in here and knock things out. I'm ready to, be a perfect student, this, that, and the other. And things just didn't go how, I wanted them to go. My body was pretty much telling me that I was stressing myself out because I would get sick. I would lose weight. And it was just trying to keep up with everything, trying to keep up with the material, trying to keep up with the classes. I was really putting my body through a lot of stress. Prior to coming into medical school, I experienced like really, really severe migraines to the point where I would like lay on the bathroom floor with the lights off and just needed to do that. And I would still wake up the next morning and sometimes the headaches would still be there. And during my first year, I would say I didn't experience that as much. Like they were periodic, but they weren't as frequent as they had been in the past. But when I got into second year, those headaches like came back full force. Like, girl, we coming for you, like for real. Bad to the point where like just the headaches and just me feeling ill and feeling sick, I missed almost a month of class just because I couldn't get out of bed. I couldn't do anything. Like I had to get up and take my son to school. I had to feed him. I had to do that. But anything other than that, I was not doing. And that was really detrimental not only to myself, but to me being able to retain information in class, because I was trying to, teach myself at home when, I needed to really be in that environment. Prior to this point when I got sick, I had come to class almost every day. I never missed a class unless I was sick or my son was sick, and that was kind of rare. I literally was there every day, even at classes when I didn't even want to be there. I was there because I felt like that was my first pass of the information, being in class and seeing it. And then at least I needed at least 2 or 3 more passes of that information. And if I didn't go to class, it meant more work for me to do at home. So second year for me kind of went like downhill pretty fast. And it was just the stress of everything, the stress of being a mom and having to worry about coming home and helping with homework and things like that. And then also having to make sure that I did my schoolwork and I, did all this kind of stuff. And prior to the school year, I had joined all these clubs and did like leadership roles. And it got to the point where I just had to, I'm not a quitter. And I never quit anything that I do. Like if I join something, if I say I'm gonna do something, I always do it. But it got to the point where in second year I was like, I'm about to quit some stuff because like physically I can't do it, mentally I can't do it. I'm fatigued like all over. And this was the first time in my life that I really think I kind of said I withdrew myself from things that I really wanted to do. Like I withdrew myself from participating in activities and leadership roles that I was really passionate about. But that kind of like was the aha moment to me that something was not going right for me when I put myself in a position where I was not only missing out on things at school, but I was missing out on things at home, and I was making myself sick, or the environment and the stress was making myself sick. So at that point, I kind of had to make some like really hard decisions just about where I wanted to go in medical school and how I wanted to proceed, because like I had a career, I have a master's degree, I have like a bachelor's degree, I have skills in other areas that I could pursue. And while I want to do medicine, was it worth it at this point in the game, being a 30-year-old, being almost 30 and trying to go back to school, knowing that I have a almost full grown child that I have to take care of and things like that. So I had to make a decision on if I wanted to continue on into medical school. And I talked to a few students, like I reached out to people because I want to know, like, what did you do when you were in this situation, or how did you cope and things like that. And at the end of the day, you can talk to as many people as you want to talk to, and they can give you the greatest advice in the world. But at the end of the day, it's gonna come down to you and how you feel and what you want to do. I prayed about it. I thought about, what, I could do and all this other stuff. And like I said, at the end of the day, I really had to make the hard decisions on my own. So I met with some people at school, like our academic people and all that kind of stuff, and our counselors, and just talked about what my options were. They say, oh, you can do a leave of absence. You can, just medical leave of absence, academic leave of absence, whatever. And so dropping out of school is, of course, never the first option, but that's what you have to do. You will be responsible for that debt, and you can reduce your course load and things like that. And for a while, I thought about, if I just dropped out of medical school, maybe I'll be a chef, or maybe I'll go back into finance, or maybe I'll, do my nonprofit work, full time. And I thought about that kind of stuff, but then I thought about why I wanted to go into medical school. And why, I need to be in medical school because I want to be a physician. Like, that's the prime thing. You want to be a doctor, you got to go to medical school. So it was like a big factor, like just kind of leaving it all behind. And the debt, thinking about the debt, honestly made me was like, oh no, girl, you can't do that. But it wasn't even just the debt. It was the fact that this is like my passion. Like, this is what I want to do. While I like to cook, and I like to draw, and I like to do all this other stuff, and I like nonprofit work, medicine is me. Medicine is what I've always wanted to do. Medicine is going to allow me to do so many things in my community, so many things for my family, my friends, and people that I don't even know, that it's crazy. And I was like, I can't just like quit medical school. Like I can't. So I decided to decelerate. I'm not sure if that's the common term that's used like across the board at every medical school, but deceleration means that I reduce my course load so that I would take certain classes this year and take other classes next year. And at some schools it looks different. Like for my school, because my second year is full, is comprised of classes that are 1 year long. You can't drop a class and then take it over the summer. I have a friend who's at a medical school where her classes are semester based. So let's say she took a class first fall semester or spring semester and she dropped that 1 or 2 classes. She has the opportunity to take those classes in the summertime, so she does not necessarily have to add on an additional year. But unfortunately, because my school is not semester based, that's not an option for me to drop 1 class and take it over the summertime. So that is one thing I will tell students is think about, no one ever thinks about wanting to quit school, having to reduce their load. Shoot, you don't even think that you're ever going to get sick, but it happens. You don't think that people are going to die, but it happens. And you have to know that you have to understand what type of school you're at and what your options are. So if you don't want to have to take a full year, add on a full year in those loans and the cost of tuition, if a life event happens, and you need to make sure that you're at a school where it's either semester based or they have it in place where you can do something over the summertime if you have to drop a class. But again, my school is not like that. So my only option was, if I wanted to reduce my load, would be to add an additional year on. I kind of went back and forth with the idea of, kind of trying to push through the year. I was like, okay, I'll get a nanny, I'll do this, I'll make sure I go to the doctor whenever I'm feeling sick, I'll make sure that, if it's the headaches that keep coming back, I will, try to make sure that whatever, regimen they gave me, if it's not working, just do it. But it was so many what ifs, and I was like, I can't guarantee that I'm not going to get sick again. I can't guarantee that these headaches aren't going to come back 10 times worse. And I can't even guarantee that if I add on an additional year. But the fact is, I was like, I don't want to be stressed. And life is, I know that medical school is stressful, and I know that you have to be built for it. You have to have it. You have to be a certain type of person. But at the same time, I know that I want to be a doctor. I know that medicine is for me, and I had to make a decision on what was best for me. Like, I didn't care what other people thought. Like, I don't care if you think that, oh, you can do medical school, so you add on to year. I don't even care, honestly, because at the end of the day, I have to do what's best for me, my health, and my child, because he depends on me to be here for him 100%. And so deceleration was the option that I chose. I was class of 2020. Now I'm class of 2021. It's additional year. I'm still going to be a doctor one day. I'm still going to be able to help patients. Now I just have more time to make sure that I take care of myself, and I'm able to retain the information that I'm learning, because at the end of the day, I could speed through 4 years, but if I pass my boards and I still don't know anything, I don't want to be anybody's doctor, and I hope nobody else wants to be anybody's either. Or if they feel like they don't have the information like they should. And what I will say is, during that time period that I was sick, that information did not stick. It stuck enough for me to pass an exam, but I don't want to be in a position where I know that I could have done better. I know that I could have been a better student. I know that I could have been a better person. So that was my decision. I am a decelerated student. So it's kind of weird when people ask me, so what year are you? I'm like, I'm a second year. Next year they're going to ask me, what year are you? I'm a second year too. But it's okay. One thing I would say is, and this is what a professor had said to our class one year, and I've heard it many times before: run your race. No matter what anybody else is doing, run your race, stay in your lane, because at the end of the day, you have to live with whatever decisions you make. You have to be happy with them. You have to be able to lift your head up high and be proud of everything and anything that you do. And that's all that matters at the end of the day. So yeah, that's the story of how medical school has gone for me thus far, and where at least what my tomorrow brings. I'll keep you guys up to date on how deceleration works for me, and how I'm handling it, and how I'm managing my classes and life, and the things that I'm doing in that extra time that I have this year and next year. If you have any questions about my process of deciding to decelerate even further, or just some of the things, that the options that I weighed, either comment, you can email me, anything. But thank you for taking time to listen. I hope everyone has a great day, weekend, night, whatever day that you're looking at this. It's kind of gloomy outside where I am. It's been raining all day, so that's why the lighting is how it is. But again, thank you, and remember to like, subscribe, and comments, because I will have tons more videos to share just about the process of being a decelerated student, the process of being a mom in medical school, and just anything else that I think may be beneficial to share with everybody.